Historically speaking, one of the most important roles on a ship was actually the cat.
Who knew that on these grand, majestic, and enormous ships, us flea-ridden fur bags held such an important role?
It's crazy, I know. Yet it's not the first time humanity has bestowed such honors on us humble felines. Hello, I'm Whiskers.
And hi, I'm Oscar, his brother.
And on this episode of Whiskers and Oscar Reacts, we're investigating ship cats, their history, and some notable examples of these seafaring felines. Joining us is an actual ship cat currently stationed aboard the MS Oceanic Freightmaster. So allow me and Oscar to introduce you to our expert, Captain Boots.
Ahoy there, Captain. Shiver me timbers, it's an honor of a real ship cat on the show.
Yes, we don't speak like that anymore.
Excuse Oscar, Captain Boots. He's just young and excited. Although I can't blame him, it's exciting to have a real ship cat on the show.
I appreciate the introduction, albeit stereotypical. I look forward to teaching you and the viewers all about our profession and the legends that came before. Also, before you ask, we get used to being surrounded by water, despite the whole fear thing.
I was wondering that. Good to know.
All right, if we are all ready,
Let's get started.
Dogs, cats, birds, and other animals have been used by humans for thousands of years for different purposes. And for naval vessels, there is no animal more important than a cat.
The United Kingdom's Royal Navy banned us from their ships in 1975 due to hygiene concerns, which, if you ask me, is ridiculous. We are not dirty creatures, not dirty compared to the vermin you find on board.
Preposterous. We spend most of our lives grooming.
Them rats spread the plague, not us.
But anyway, round the same time or some point later, the U.S. and many other nations, except Russia, adopted a similar policy, all for hygiene and legal reasons, and to prevent any unwanted local breeding. If you catch my drift. However, some navies still allow cats on ships, although it is extremely difficult to get permission, making this trade pretty much dead.
This is only for naval ships, right? Because you're a ship's cat.
Correct. Cargo, cruise, and other private ships still welcome us on board, although it's rare. But like I said, it's possible for us to sail on naval ships. They just heavily discourage it, and I believe other vessels are starting to follow suit.
And that is because ships would make journeys all around the world for months at a time. And to make said journey, they would have to keep a large supply of stored food, which naturally would be a perfect breeding and transportation ground for rats.
Yes, the whole purpose of our profession, keeping the rats away from the humans and our food supply, and whatever perishable cargo you have on board.
What about companionship? Isn't that part of it too?
Oh yes, definitely. But we're not paid to sit about being pampered by the crew. We're there to catch pests, troublemakers, and vermin. But yes, in our downtime, the crew does enjoy spoiling us with cuddles and pats, and all pleasurable things like that. Weirdly, us cats have become pests too, despite decades and even centuries of exquisite service, for the reasons I stated before.
The audacity!
What a load of ungrateful. Wow.
I know it's absurd, but times are changing, attitudes are shifting. Humans are developing newfangled gadgets and technology to keep rodents and parasites at bay, making us ship cats a thing of the past.
Thus, on many different vessels, the ship's cat was an official position. Plus, they provided companionship on a long journey.
Companionship. Yes, companionship. Them sailors need this during the long and hard journeys they face, and when they need it, we're there to provide it. Of course, they have each other for games, laughs, and all those good wholesome pastimes. Yet even with all that, they want a little variety and come to us for that extra spice. I don't know what's going to happen once us ship cats are fully phased out. I don't know how they will cope. I guess they'll just browse the internet and watch videos on social media to pass the time on those mobile devices humans love.
It's not all bad. There's some great wholesome and educational content online.
Like ours.
Yes, like ours. Plus, it's easier for them to contact their loved ones.
That's good. But it appears technology is replacing us ship cats in all areas. The humans have gadgets to control pests, and gadgets comfort them. This profession is truly extinct.
I don't like to ask, but what will you do once ship cats are, well, gone?
I'm not sad for myself. I'm on my last voyage, my last life. No, I'm sad for the youngsters like yourselves who may want to enter this profession, only to find that this ship's already sailed. But I guess that's just how things are. There are many professions that have disappeared. The milkman, the chimney sweep, to noble and honest careers gone. Yet new jobs pop up in their place. Air conditioning and commercial fridges always need fixing. So I feel cats will always have a place on the high sea. Now, is there anything else you want to know about ship's cats before we part?
Yes, we'd love to learn about some of the legends of the trade, if that's okay.
Of course. Let me see. We'll begin with the oldest recorded ship's cat that I can find. Trim was a tuxedo cat, born in 1799 on the HMS Reliance, and was owned by the highly respected Royal Navy officer Matthew Flinders. He was named after the butler from Lawrence Sterne's novel Tristram Shandy, and sailed with Flinders on his famous journeys between England and Australia, his circumnavigate and map around the Australian mainland on the HMS Investigator. Trim unfortunately disappeared in 1804 when he was around 4 or 5, yet his legacy continues with a bronze statue of him erected at the State Library of New South Wales in 1996. This photo, and later merchandise, and the library's cafe named in his honor. Next is Mrs. Chippy, the mackerel tabby ship's cat aboard the Endurance, the ship Sir Ernest Shackleton used for his Imperial Transantarctic expedition from 1914 to 1917. Despite the name, Mrs. Chippy was actually male, with Chippy originating from the British slang for carpenter and was the nickname of his owner, Harry Chippy McNish. And the MRs coming from his desire to follow McNish around like an overbearing wife. Mrs. Chippy's adventure ended after the Endurance was destroyed, and Shackleton ordered him and for sled dogs shot since they could no longer care for them. However, Mrs. Chippy is fondly remembered with a statue of him erected in 2004 on top of McNish's grave. In 2011, a postage stamp featuring him and crew member Perce Blackborough. This photo was issued on the overseas British territory of South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. Thirdly is Simon, a tuxedo cat born in Hong Kong 1947 and was the HMS Amethyst ship's cat after 17-year-old George Higginbotham smuggled him aboard. Simon's notability grew after the Yangtze incident in 1949, where he miraculously survived an attack from a Chinese plow-fueled gun battery against the HMS Amethyst. However, although he survived, Simon didn't leave unscathed. He was burned, had 4 pieces of shrapnel removed, and soon developed a viral infection because of it, resulting in his death later that year. Simon's remembered through his military honors, PDSA Dickin Medal, Blue Cross Medal, and Naval General Service Medal with Yangtze 1949 class, a memorial bush planted in his honor, and Paul Gallico's 1950 novel Jenny was dedicated to him. Next is Blackie, later renamed Churchill, after British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, was a tuxedo cat and the HMS Prince of Wales ship's cat. Blackie achieved worldwide fame after a photograph of him meeting Winston Churchill. This one was published and the moment reported in the press. Churchill's visit to the HMS Prince of Wales was so successful that the crew renamed Blackie to Churchill in the Prime Minister's honor. Blackie, aka Churchill's final recorded movements was him living in Singapore with the survivor after the HMS Prince of Wales was sunk by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service later that same year in 1941. Finally, we have Unsinkable Sam, or Oscar. Oscar was again a tuxedo cat and a ship's cat for both the Kriegsmarine German and the Royal Navy British. But Oscar's greatest claim to fame is that he survived 3 shipwrecks in 1941, the Kriegsmarine's Bismarck and the Royal Navy's HMS Cossack and HMS Ark Royal, earning him the name Unsinkable Sam. Although the historicity of his first 2 adventures are shaky, yet after the HMS Ark Royal, Unsinkable Sam retired and transferred to the Governor of Gibraltar's office before traveling to Belfast, Northern Ireland, where he spent the remainder of his life.
Weird how most of them were tuxedo cats. Was that intentional, Captain?
No, just a coincidence. I introduced you to who I think are the most high profile.
Strange nonetheless. Strange how one was tuxedo and named Oscar. He might be related.
Doubt it. But anyway, thank you, Captain Boots, for teaching us about your, unfortunately, dying profession.
It's sad, but I'm glad humans and cats both care enough to discuss and learn about it. So thank you for having me on.
We'd love to chat again. You're welcome back anytime.
Definitely. I'd be delighted. I'm no one-trick anchovy. I've got years of experience in things that ain't ship cats, and there's no use letting it go to waste.
Like we always do, we invite our guests to outrow the video. So Captain, if you would.
Yes, comment down below which heroic feline he discussed were you most proud of, and suggest any videos Oscar and Whiskers should check out. Also, don't forget to hit all the buttons on the right side of the screen and share this video with all your friends and family, so they can also learn about ship cats. Plus, follow Whiskers and Oscar for more entertaining and educational content like this.
I'm Whiskers.
I'm Oscar.
I'm Captain Boots of the MS Oceanic Freightmaster, and until next time,
Bye.